Hello, welcome back to Fully Booked. Myself, Mace.
Myself, French.
And myself, Andrew.
Yeah, and we're just kind of checking in with the people then. We're not doing a kind of a Fully Booked meets or kind of reviewing a book. It's just a check-in really. We're still in kind of COVID territory, COVID times. We're kind of, things are opening back up now. We're just going to speak about our COVID experience really. So yeah, just checking in with the people and checking in with each other really. So we look saying?
I'm good.
Man.
Go, French.
I was going to say, do you not reckon that this lockdown's off now? Do you reckon we're not in lockdown anymore? Or do you still think there's going to be, I guess, another lockdown at some point because of a second spike as everyone's kind of referring to?
I think personally that it got to a point where there was no point in the government, because they've talked about like all these different scenarios and theories, R rates and some other stuff. But there's been a kind of, for me, there's been quite a few key pointers as to what's going to happen with our country. And like, one of the things I've always said amongst our group and just to other people is, you got to remember, so this thing started, I don't know, December 19, whether it was, or first reported case, recorded case, December 19, started in China, spread, came into like mainland Europe and then hit us, or we first became aware of it slightly after mainland Europe. Spain got hit bad, Italy got hit bad, them kind of countries, yeah? So what the UK's done, because we've always been slightly behind in that respect, when it hits reverse and things are beginning to open up, the rates dropping slowly, we were always going to follow suit with how mainland Europe were moving. So and it didn't really matter about the numbers in kind of, when we were kind of in respect to the numbers, should I say. So for instance, we know that like Germany had less cases than us, but even though like they had less cases, once they started to open back up, I said, all right, give us a couple of weeks. We've always been a couple of weeks behind. Give us a couple of weeks and we will begin to open up. And the second factor is, there's only so long you can almost, it's the wrong word to use, but oppression is a key word. If you're oppressing a people or a group of people, it's only so long that can happen before people say, do you know what is the difference between me living like this and just being non-existent or not existing? Like, I'd rather fight for a cause or fight for my freedom or fight for a sense of freedom rather than just feel like this sense of oppression. And you must only go out once a week. You must, once a day. You must exercise for 1 hour. You must stay 2 meters gap. You must, after a while, people are just like, yo, I have a sense of freedom almost in this world I live in. And you try and take that away from someone against a virus that's in the air, and people are just gonna be like, you know what? Fuck it, I'd rather just be out there and see what happens. If I catch it almost. But so I think there's almost the sense of people are just, even without the government announcing, yeah, pubs are opening and all the rest of it, before that, people are getting restless and not taking risks, but just being like, I'm going out to meet my people in the park. There's been block parties. There's been people not social distancing in the parks. There's been people having house parties some on the sly, some not on the sly. And I think it's just a matter of time before the government had to say, right, we're going to open up some public stuff like pubs and stuff like that to get people back out and about. In terms of a second spike, it's always a risk. I don't know if now COVID is going to be a thing, like where it just exists and we just do our best with it in terms of constantly wearing face masks, whether the queuing of shops and the limited number of people in shops. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but if we go by what's happened in other countries, like around the world, so if we go by, I think China's had a second outbreak. There's been various sporadic second outbreaks in like little regions of Spain. There's likely, if we start to, with everyone congregating again, it's likely a second outbreak could happen. I was saying to you guys slightly early before we started recording that, like, I'm looking at trying to book a little week or weekend away towards the, like, not now because things are starting to open up, but maybe give it a month or two, see how it goes. And then maybe in September. And I'm willing to take that risk, if that makes sense. Got my mask, got my alcoholic rub and all the rest of it. Whether that's going to be good enough to protect me, I don't know. But I think there is a risk of a second outbreak. I don't know, innit? We don't know. I think no one knows. It's unprecedented, innit? So no one really knows. Everyone could just give their best educated guess. You can get someone with a professor before their name or doctor or before their name giving you all this advice and R rates and all that. At the end of the day, no one knows, innit? It's just one of them things. So I think it's just something at the moment, everyone's just kind of like, all right, we know this exists. It's summer. I need to live, and I'll take that risk because nothing's happened to me personally yet. I'll just be out there on the roads and doing my thing, into mixing with people. What about you guys?
Myself, I think you covered a lot there. To be fair, do I think there'll be a second spike? Like, keeping it very, very simple. I think there'll be, I mean, there'll be like word of caution. So as we know, I think there's some parts of certainly Spain. I think Catalonia, like being specific, obviously in living in Barcelona or being back and forth in Barcelona, I'm very aware of things of that nature. I've definitely heard word of potential lockdown again in Spain. So I think there's every chance that it would happen here, but I think there's going to be more so warning as to if we don't adhere to some of the, I don't want to say precautions, but some of the, let's call them regulations and the rules, then we may potentially go back into lockdown. But I think it's going to be more a threat rather than something that actually is enforced, personally. And the difference between some of the clear differences which are being made out between, let's say, some places in Europe, in particular Spain and the UK, is in Spain some of these things that have been enforced are actually law, which is the reason why they follow them to the letter of the law whilst they've been locked down. Whereas in this country, these are being precautions. These are the things we shouldn't do if we don't want this to happen, and that's been some of the main differences as to why we've been in lockdown, but at the same time haven't been in lockdown. But if you draw contrast with places like Spain and Italy, they've been in lockdown, and some individuals haven't really come out of their house for like months on end, you know, or and have had, you know, those type of difficulties. So I think there's going to be more caution rather than, you know, things that are going to be enforced. I just don't think our government is that way inclined.
Do you know what? Going back to what you were saying, Mace, I don't think you've been oppressed. I think that's a bit strong still. I think that's a bit of a. I get the sentiment, but like, man's been out here, innit? Like, man ain't stopped working and all that. Like, I've been able to still carry on with business and carry on and stuff like that. I've seen people out and about. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, we're at a point where we're almost out of lockdown per se. But even since the day, from day one, as Pete rightly said, in regards to it's been more suggestions, and because a lot of the messages have been ambiguous, a lot of people have been out here running reckless anyway from the get-go, whether it's linking beanies or linking man or having parties and doing whatever they're doing. So I think we're in a country where basically we've been able to get away with a lot, whereas in Russia, as we've seen, pictures of people doing a madness, or in India where they're licking people down on the roads and that. So we've had it quite easy, and just the way we are in like the United Kingdom, England, Great Britain, whatever you want to call it, like we're on our own shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I think a lot of people will have listened to the government, but also, as we've seen, a lot of people have been unruly, like straight up, just doing their thing. So I reckon there will be a second spike, but similar to how it is in Leicester right now, how they've just got Leicester on lockdown, I think that's how it's going to be going forward. They're just going to have pockets of, all right, cool. So Birmingham, you lot are on lockdown for September. Cool. Blackburn, you man are locked down for October and whatever, whatnot. Like, if you lot are spiking up, then we'll shut you lot down for whatever, whatnot. And it might even be the same in London. Be like, all right, cool. West London is rising, so you lot got a lockdown. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be a full-scale lockdown where we're going to have no one out on the roads or no one doing anything again and causing panic. But I wouldn't be surprised if a second spike, maybe even a third spike comes around, because you used to say that they're going to have a vaccine by the time the second spikes start coming around. And I was speaking to someone yesterday, and they work in the NHS, and not to panic anyone, but he was saying, basically, they was telling me something in the words of there being a mutation of it, and like it coming back and being stronger, or even if it's, say, like for us three, like we're healthy young males, and we may not have known if we've received the COVID virus, and we're going to go about doing our thing, as Mason's just pointed out, you're going to go and fly, looking to fly X, Y, Z, but because you're healthy and you've got no idea of whether you've had it or not, you may have the mutated version and pass it on to someone else, and lick them down even quicker than it was before. Do you know what I mean? And you're still moving normal, like to say there is nothing wrong and you don't feel any kind of way. Not like literally you're doing it on purpose, but just in terms of how you feel, like health wise. So again, as you said as well, it's unprecedented time. So no one of us have an answer on what we can do. We just got to kind of live life as best as possible, because who knows, tomorrow we can all get licked down in it. So not to say there was any point to what I was saying in regards to this and that. I'm more just discussing some of the points that you guys just raised.
Yeah, so just very quickly, I mean, not to harp on that question. I was speaking with a friend, I think it was yesterday, and I think it'll be apparent anyway. Truth be told, is I think the country's kind of had to make some form of a move, in that, like, how much more financially can the country, let's say, carry or burden by way of supporting people, and that the economy has to get moving at some point. So whether we like it or not, whether it's for health reasons or whether it's financial reasons, I think this was always going to happen at some point. And you need to remember, this is one of the strongest countries in the world in regards to economics. And you've got countries such as Spain, certainly Germany, and other countries which have began reopening their borders or began opening up for business sooner than ourselves. Probably because obviously the cases and the deaths were quite high. It was only a matter of time before this happened. So I even believe, as to what you said as to counties and cities being on lockdown, that would actually make some form of sense. It would be interesting to see what happens if there is a real second spike. What we do by way of economics and how businesses will function, because I think business has been changed forever, truth be told. As I was telling Mason, I might not, you weren't privy to the conversation before we started. I was in central London today and it was quiet, very, very quiet. And that obviously that's not a surprise to anybody, but this is now the beginning of this is really the beginning of the new norm, in that, a lot of businesses have now opened up, but it's still very quiet. And you've got people like Mason who's working from home, and a number of people working from home. These are things that are going to, these are things that are going to be carried forward.
Mm.
A lot of businesses will be affected. There's going to be wholesale changes as to the way business is done. So, yeah, not to harp on a point, I just think things have changed, and I think there'll be some lessons learned from this experience by way of businesses as to how they're going to cope and deal with what would be a second spike. They'll be very well prepared for a second spike.
To kind of move away from being all doom and gloom and that, what have you not learned? Any positives to take from this time that we've been spending in the last 3 months?
Mason, do you want to go first, or?
No, you can.
All right, cool. No, I'll just for you because you went first last time. First things first. When this
is a very nice conversation, because to talk like this before, I was butting in and all sorts.
Clarity is key.
No, so no, I've just understood the rotation. So generally I go second or third. I go after you or go after Mason, but I know what you're referring to. No, like when this whole thing started, I saw you're on social media and people saying stuff like, "Oh, it was a great opportunity to learn new skills, this, that, and the third." And correct, right? I don't deny that in any way, shape, or form. It's a great opportunity. Your time, use the time that you do have, but straight away, I just drew comparison to what I was doing at that moment in time. I was going back and forth from London to Barcelona, and at that time, we didn't know how long we were going to be in lockdown for. So let's say that was the first couple of weeks. That's essentially what I was doing. So for those couple of weeks that I was away in Barcelona, I was working on myself. So I tried to, obviously, I appreciated the time that I did have, and if I'm honest, I needed a rest at that point and that moment in time. But it was nothing new to me by way of actually trying to upskill myself. But as to what I learned in this period of time, I think I've got a lot of things done. More so, I'm not too sure what I've actually learned about myself, because I tried to think about that before we actually came on air. What have I learned about myself? I'm not too sure. If I'm honest, I'm not too sure at this moment in time. What I do know is that I've got a lot of work done, but that was no different than before, truth be told.
Hmm.
Maybe someone
What
can
about you, mate?
point something out to me.
I'm trying to still sit here and think about the positive. I mean, yeah, I don't want to harp on the negatives, but I'm trying to think of the positives. I know things that haven't popped off for me that should have. Positive wise, I mean, it's flipping out.
I can jump back in again if you want, if you're still
Oh.
thinking. The one thing I have,
I'll tell you one thing. This is the nicest conversation I've heard us have in a while.
you know, the one thing I have noticed is I have a love-hate relationship with social media, and I think if you become very consumed in it, there's this huge vacuum that will take you, very similar to YouTube. You can be watching, perfect, so we're gonna laugh it off. I can be watching UFC, and then all of a sudden I can be watching wildlife, you know, and then be taken down to a video about wild dogs eating a gazelle or something, and then
That's that Joe Rogan. You've been listening to Joe Rogan. That's why.
Oh no, but I do that as well. But I mean, yeah, you can find yourself on a really dark, I don't want to say a dark trail, but you can find yourself on a trail. But likewise with social media, you can find yourself scrolling and then going in and out, doing things which you really shouldn't be, things that shouldn't really be consuming your time. But what I have done, like in this period of lockdown, is there are a number of people who are highly, I'm going to speak on the positive side. I know there's people who are not qualified to speak, but there's a number of people who are qualified to speak by way of their experience and what they've achieved. And I think social media is a really good tool by way of, and I'm quite comfortable saying this. I'll go on someone's profile and go on their website and click and go down little holes as to going onto their website, looking at how they've laid out their website, what they're selling, why they're selling it, go on their videos, hear what they're saying, how they're saying it, things of the nature, and it's kind of model behavior. I mean, I've looked at some of the stuff that people do, and I try to draw contrast with what I'm doing. There's a lot of people teaching. There's a lot of gems out there on IG. That's another thing, actually. During this period of lockdown, I've moved quite a lot of individuals who were teaching or telling me nothing or didn't really add value to my feed. So, yeah. So that's another thing which I've taken from this period of lockdown. I've got like a long list of things to do by way of actually looking at people's profiles and videos that they've got up on their profiles and stuff of that nature. There's been a lot of learning, I think.
I'll be honest, I haven't really done the learning part in terms
But you've been working, so it's a bit different.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say about. I'm trying to think of the positives. I mean, one of the positives, obviously, I managed to get. You guys know I was doing a course, and I was at the last. I'd passed my exams for that course, and I was at the last part of that, and I put it off, and then I actually knuckled down and done that, and I've got what's equivalent to like another degree in my field, which is a positive. Besides that, I mean, I had so much little things to go away and stuff booked, and they all got cancelled and all the rest of it. Yeah, French.
Every cloud, bro. Every cloud. I would say that I don't need my barber if shit hits the fan again still, because I've had to shape up my beard, and obviously the barber's always going to be able to do it better, but I can do it to a standard where it's like, I can still step out if need be. You know what I mean? That's one minor thing, just to say something positive. Similar to yourself, P, sorry. I think how I was moving and conducting myself, I was like always adamant in doing self-improvement, whether it's reading and things like that nature, going gym, and obviously our conversations help. So my life didn't really change that much, besides not being able to go to the gym, but then I was able to just work out at home anyways and do my thing like that. So it's been minimal impact in terms of what I've learned per se. Like, I've not needed to upskill. I'm already trying to learn a new language. So like all those things that you hear people gassing on like different platforms. You need to do this. You need to come out of this with a new skill. Rah, rah, rah. All that bullshit. Like I was doing that anyway. So kiss my ass, all of them. Like when it comes to all of that stuff. But no, on a serious note, I can't really say that I've learned anything new specifically. May have had some realizations when you just have thoughts to yourself and you start to maybe discover a few things about yourself that you may not have realized at a certain time. But in regards to something, I'm gonna say I started this. I was before the lockdown came, and now that it's finished, I now can do X, Y, Z. There's nothing specific that I can say. Look, here's my new skill and present it in a shiny box. But I've enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I've enjoyed lockdown.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I'm not gonna lie, because even like even this evening now, my girlfriend was like, "Oh, what are we doing this evening?" I was thinking, "What do you mean what we're doing this evening? It's lockdown." Now my friends are doing this, and you know, the pubs and that are open and restaurants, and I was thinking, I'm kind of comfortable, like just doing what I've done for the last 8 weeks. I'm not gonna lie. So now we're gonna be doing something tomorrow evening, but yeah. So I think one of our friends has invited us to a barbecue in the evening.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna be doing that, but I didn't even know. You know when it got to like Friday night, and I wasn't even contemplating. It didn't run through my head what possibly we're gonna go out and do. Like I'm just thinking, it's a standard. It's the new out is
lockdown
in.
Weekend.
Huh?
The new lockdown weekend. That's what it's normal to do nothing.
Just today, I don't switch on my computer for work. Like, that is it. Like it's an in thing, and I didn't really mind that. So, I mean, one of the good things, you're right, I didn't, like, it's the minor things, isn't it? So the barber thing, you're right, I haven't had my hair cut. I had a very minor shape because I wanted to grow my hair out. Because I said, this is probably one of the ample opportunities I get to really just let my hair run wild. Not even wild, but grow it out and just see how I can manage that, because it's not like I'm getting up in the mornings having to go and jump on the train and all the rest of it. Let me just see how it goes. So, and I'm just embracing that at the moment, just embracing my hair just being my hair and not having to trim up every or cut it off every 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm embracing that. That's a positive. I think the other positive that all three of us have taken, everyone really, is that like we're getting through a unprecedented period, full stop. And I know the rest of society is having to deal with that as well, but still don't take away from the fact that everyone's having to deal with this. And I've told you guys that like there's times when man's felt low, just stuck, like in like indoors, and just felt low, like, and that's what I think I meant about the oppression thing. Like, wow, you're allowed out for an hour.
No, I did get you. I was getting onto you still. I think I understand what you meant.
Yeah, like nothing, like just an hour out and then nothing's open. You're just like, yo, like I just feel like, is this like it just thoughts run through your mind, innit? But then you get over that and you get past that. So I think that's another thing. Like inner strength, I've realized that I kind of knew I felt like I knew I had inner strength anyway, but just that as well. Just like, yeah, I've been fine. And it got to the point now things are open and I'm not rushing out or wanting to rush out. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you raise a good point there, actually. And it made me think, actually, as to, I mean, there's a number of things. So a lot of us said, no, so we've said things which are, is not necessarily, I mean, we're not protecting our egos in any way, shape, or form, but there are fragile sides to us, and to which there are a number of individuals, and so a lot of our posts have been on IG as to how we are spiritually and things of that nature, and those things matter equally as well. So like you mentioned, I think moments ago, as to, actually I don't know if you did say this, so there's me just disappearing and going on a tangent, but I was thinking of coping mechanisms. So as you were speaking, I was thinking, actually, like during the period of lockdown, I don't think I've had great difficulty, but there's definitely been difficulty by way of my thoughts being trapped. And that's where I started learning, actually, by going out for a walk for an hour each day in the evening or first thing in the morning. It actually calms and soothes me, and it allows my thoughts to be free. So I'll go for a walk, and occasionally I'll put my headphones in, and occasionally I'll listen to an audio book. It depends where I'm going, if I'm honest. But this walk was designed to actually allow my thoughts to actually just not run wild, but be free, and to just allow them to be expansive. Whereas I don't know, some people haven't had the coping mechanisms, and it's not necessarily down to them being strong or weak, but sometimes you actually need a strong foundation of people. So we've been quite lucky where we spoke maybe a couple of times a week, as well as obviously doing the podcast itself, and we've been able to catch up, and that's just and just being able to lean on each other as to how you feel, because I think it's very important to communicate those things as well. If you don't have a voice to not vent to, but a voice to, let's say vent for lack of a better word, then they become emotions that are trapped inside you. You know, very similar to staying in your house. I mean, that was the first thing that I found very difficult, because I was down as one of the vulnerable, and I didn't leave the house. There was times I didn't leave the house for like 2-3 days, and I was like, no, I can't do this. This is crazy. I can't stay in my house. I've got to come out, and there's got to be some form of release. And the same will be said as to communicating some of the things that you're actually going through.
Do you reckon that I know for P, because as you said, you was put down as one of the vulnerable, so the walks was almost essential for you. But would you say that you found like a new love for the outdoors?
I'll say,
like walking in the parks and going for walks and whatever, what have you.
Yeah, I mean, you've made a bit more. I mean, yeah, you made a bit more specific. Yeah, going for a walk here. As to nature, I wouldn't know yet, because obviously we're not really built around. Certainly where I live anyway, there's not much nature. As well, yeah, it's more houses and apartments and things of that nature. But yeah, I've got a newfound love for walking. I do enjoy walking. Now I do anyway.
What about you, Mace?
No, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't appreciate how important parks and green spaces were. I'm not gonna lie to you. I honestly didn't. And it's because like my days generally before and even now, they follow both pre and during COVID followed a routine, but different routines. So train journey back and forth, yeah. During the journey was to my computer. Do you know what I mean? To a different room to log in and whatnot. But then when I was going out, because I started doing exercise, I've stopped now, in terms of running and stuff like that. But I don't appreciate, I had little like trips or visits to like parks. I went to like Richmond Park one day, went to the park around the corner from my house, went to another park, went to a couple parks in Eden. I started to appreciate it, like just green areas and parks and stuff. Whereas before, I don't know, for years I just neglected that. I just didn't cross my mind. And I think that's one of the things that I've started to appreciate, and I've started to realize like it's important, like to the point where I want to start looking at like various plants to get and all that kind of stuff. Whereas that's never even, I remember like a few years back, if I saw a garden or something and it's just rough, I wouldn't think let's make it look nice. I just think dig that shit up and put some pavement slabs down, concrete that bitch. Do you know what I'm saying? And just, that's the easiest form of maintenance, of maintaining it. But now it's like, let's try and make it look pretty presentable, somewhere you're proud of. And I just feel that a bit more like that now, generally, about like green space and that. And I don't appreciate the fact, because I don't know if it's still the case, but I know the borough of Ealing is one of the kind of leafiest boroughs in London, or is the leafiest borough in London. I've never really taken advantage of that or thought anything of it.
Sorry, just two things. I've got an admission, and also to continue a theme of what you're saying. Appreciation. So like that's another thing that I've taken away from this experience. Let's say I've learned to appreciate things a lot more. So appreciate my time. I've always appreciated my time anyway. So I appreciate my time a lot more. I appreciate my friends and family a lot more. So I've made a conscious effort to. I've actually, I mean, as you know, I've walked to my dad's house because I felt I had no choice anyway. But I mean, or I do have a choice. I could have got a cab, which I've done occasionally, but that's another story. But I mean, I've gone to see my dad obviously on a few occasions and things like that. Tried to make sure, and I've kept him in mind as to making sure his, let's say, mental health is in the right space by way of, well, again, visiting him and things of that nature. So I think I appreciate things a lot more. my admission is I was having a conversation with someone today, and maybe through some of our previous seasons, or certainly off air, I've always said that, well, when you, Mason, have raised, oh, come on, the thing about the moon, the star being a Cancer, astrology, things of that nature.
Star signs.
Star sign astrology, same thing. Okay, so like it might be the same thing anyway. I've always said that it's a load.
Run in, walk in, same thing.
Yeah, so no, I've always said it's a load of nonsense. And what I was saying today was over the
You're a
past.
believer now.
Sorry.
You said you're a believer
No.
now.
Not that I'm a believer, but like everything is energy. So I don't know. These might be conversations that we've had as to like the transferring of energy. No, I mean, I'm having a conversation with someone else. So like the transferring of energy, and it being really important. Speaking about The Secret, the book, and other books that we've read, and the importance of those, and the learning points and stuff like that. And I don't know where I was, and I don't know where I was, but I sat there and I thought to myself, no, I heard someone saying something, oh, it's because it's a Cancer, blah, blah. And I was thinking, talking a load of nonsense again. And I sat there and I thought to myself, you know what, yeah? If the sun really makes a difference to people's lives and people's days, who am I to say that you being born in a different part or time of the year, I don't know, it just brings about some form of change, you know? So it was just a thought which, you know, planted a seed, and I've began to add a few more things to it, you know? So like energy is another thing that I've taken from this COVID experience. But it's admission as well. I've said you've been talking loads of nonsense for many a year as to being born in a certain month and it making a difference to how you feel, etc., etc.
So was that aimed at me?
Yeah, because you're the only one.
Okay, cool. What about when a man says, yeah, I've just been out for a run, and then you just happen to drive past him, you see him strolling?
What's that got to do with anything?
Because that's another form of nonsense.
So
licking up shots.
Another form of what?
Another form of nonsense. When a man says, hey, just going out for a run, and it just so happens you're driving and you see them having a casual stroll.
French, I was finishing my run.
Come back and preach and say they've done 5 miles.
No. French, I was finishing my run.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was finishing my run. It's true, he kind of, you know, it would have come across that he caught me off guard, but I just finished my run.
You finished it a mile from home?
No, it wasn't a mile.
Similar to when you went on that fast.
I did.
That week fast of juicing. On your second day, you're yamming food.
I did. I went on the fast.
What kind of what was that? The soup juice diet.
The soup juice diet. I'll say that's another thing as well. I've become more healthy in this period of quarantine as well.
You've become more healthy. You've become more healthy to those who haven't been witness to you 24 hours a day.
That sounds like convenience. This has been something that I've implemented. You know, is a form of discipline, not convenience. Discipline, not convenience. So,
Pete, before you go further, I was actually thinking this the other day. Actually, would you, if I said to you, cool, let's go on like not a juice diet, not even a diet, but like a 24-hour or not 20. Actually, no, that's the wrong way of putting it. A challenge of some sort where we can only have juice for the week or just have water for a week. Could you actually do it?
Could you do it?
I would do it. I would do it. I would do it with you if you're on it.
At this moment in time.
But Pete, you can't do this halfway shit and say, oh, well, I just felt like I'll have some crackers with that water because, yeah, just some random reason. Like, you've got to be fully committed.
I'm going to be dead serious. I'm going to answer this seriously. All right.
Go on.
Since the first water park, the 24-hour one, I thought about doing it again, but I haven't done it, and that's because I think after you get past a certain point, you know you're going to finish it. All right. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But I still haven't done it again. For me to commit to a week of just juicing, that's a lie. I don't think I can. I don't think I'm strong enough at this moment in time to be able to do so.
Okay, at least you admitted it this time round.
Oh, it was like 3 days is possible, but that's a real, like, you know, mammoth task.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Have you not read any books over this time, over this period? Any books outside of what we read in the podcast?
I've ordered a couple though. I sound like P.
Don't you dare shout out to him.
I've ordered a couple. I've got a couple here that I ordered. Like, I finally got the Chimp Paradox, and I ordered a book I've never read, believe it or not, and I've had access to it. Like various people said I lent you, I never have, but I think the whole what's gone on within the last like 3 months and the 4 months, BLM and Dean Floyd and all the rest of it. I don't know why I was like, you know what? Because I was ordering books and I was like, right, I haven't got hold of this book yet. It's Malcolm X's book. So I ordered that. But that's been sold out, like from where I ordered it from anyway. So it's still to come. And obviously I've ordered a book that we're gonna review on the podcast as well. So that's here as well. But yeah. So I've ordered a few. I haven't committed to reading that. I've had other stuff going on. You know, I've had to be trying to do up the flat and all that. So
yeah. What about you, Pete?
Yeah, as for myself, I've been in, like, so Mason just mentioned in regards to BLM and stuff like that. So I have Mandela's oh my God, forgot the name of the book now. Long Walk to Freedom. So I had it in Barcelona. Yeah. So I've recently ordered that again, and that's coming to I should be arriving anytime soon. And I've opened probably about 2 or 3 different books, but for some strange reason, I just can't finish them. Or I'm actually enjoying them, but I just haven't really. I've jumped onto another book. So that's been with audiobooks. So I was listening to The Intelligent Investor, which is a decent listen. And then I began reading a book over the past couple of days called This Book Will Change Your Life, which is actually quite interesting, and by way of a story. So I'm enjoying that. And then I'm also reading The Celestine Prophecy. And the reason why I had stopped reading that is because I couldn't find my charger, and obviously my iPad just lock off, boy. So I've had to order a new charger. So I've been in and out of books, if I'm being honest. But I've struggled with reading during lockdown, in that I feel my mind hasn't been stationary or centered enough to read, truth be told, actually. And that's something that I'm beginning to look at, because I'm not too sure if that's a thing over the past couple of years or if that's a quarantine lockdown thing. But at the same time, like Mason, and I'm sure yourself, I've had a lot to do. So I found it very, very difficult to be still. Hence why walking has been very, very good for me.
Myself, French, you like to read like 2 or 3 at a time, right?
Yeah, I've read a few books still.
Which books?
I read The Shoe Dog. I thought that was a really good book, man.
Very good.
That was a really good book. Then I think, there's a book by James Patterson called 50/50. I read that in a day. Like, I just literally sat there and just read it in a day. I've also read some random book. One sec, let me see. One sec.
As you're there, you might be able to hear it. James Patterson. What other books has he wrote?
He's written some bangers. Yeah, so before I get into James Patterson, before I get into what other books he's read that I think's dope, I read another book called Unzipped. It's a random book. Like, I found it when I was shopping. I was in Tesco, and they don't sell books, or they sell books in Tesco. But where it was is where when you're leaving Tesco, and I shouldn't even be saying their name, but when I leave this particular superstore, I've said it now, but you know what I mean? You can leave a charity donation and you can pick up a book. And there was this particular book, there was loads of them, and it was called Unzipped. And it was like I don't know if it's real or not, but basically it's an account of an MP, and he's a conservative, and just kind of like the lifestyle that he was living whilst in Parliament. And I guess it sounds believable, but at the same time it may not be. But it's by an anonymous author, so take from that what you will. But I thought it was a really good book. I thought it was a good read, man. It was quite entertaining, and I read that quite quickly as well. I've been reading a couple other. I've ordered quite a few books. I spent about a ton on books, bro. Like in one day, I was like, I need to buy that. I want to go into that. So I've looked into books on investing. I've looked into books about business, life coaching, and several other books that I've ordered that are on the way or even just arrived. And what else have I read? That's it. A couple other books here and there that I've been still meaning to get through. Like one of the books that we didn't finish in one of our seasons, I've tried to get back into it, but it's I'm not gonna lie, bro. It still puts me to sleep. So I'm trying to get back through that. What's it called? Thinking Fast and Slow. So I'm still trying to get through that book. But yeah, I've been reading. Maybe I still think I could have read more. I still think I could still do a bit more reading, but it's something that's part of my schedule that I like to put in my schedule to get some reading done. So yeah, I've been reading books continuously still. Like that's just an enjoyment of mine anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Break the silence.
So just very briefly, James Patterson. I mean, I tried to.
Yeah, he's written some dope books. My brethren introduced me to him actually. The first books that I read of his was called Toys, and another one called Zoo. And I think those are probably the best reads that I've read from him. Because I've read another couple of his books, and they tend to be like crime thrillers. But these two particular, Zoo and Toys, are one's like what's the word? Apocalyptic. That's Zoo, and Toys is more of a futuristic and quite realistic in terms of where society's going in today. And I believe they made a TV program on Zoo for Sky of his actual book. So you may want to check that out if you want to. But for me, I always prefer books when it comes to like a program versus a book. The book tends to be a lot better, me personally anyway. But yeah, no, those two definitely stand out for me in regards to if you want to check out some of his work, I would start with those two. And he's got a lot of other crime thrillers and things of that nature. But he is a good author. Definitely keeps you gripped into what he's trying to portray.
I still think for me, one of the best books I've read in the last 12 to 18 months is Trevor Noah's book, man.
Phenomenal.
That book, French, you read it yet?
No, I'm gonna listen to it because you lot have said that it's good to listen to it on audiobook. So I've got it there ready to listen on audiobook. I just ain't started it yet.
Well, I haven't listened to it, but reading it, you just get lost in it. It's just like, it was just fantastic, man. Honestly, and you don't hear me speaking like about books like that. And that book was just
phenomenal.
I haven't read a book like that since I was literally maybe 10 or 11, where I picked up the book and I've actually been sad that like my train journey's come to an end, or I have to put it like literally it was that good.
Yeah.
Or if I skip a day because I just haven't had time that day, I'm just like, oh man, do you know? Like I haven't read a book that done that. His book done that for me.
He's incredibly talented, like ridiculously talented.
What else you and him got, boy?
No, because.
What are you saying? Talented in all kind of ways, Pete? Got you feeling some kind of way over there, bro?
I say that is, I remember like many years ago, I remember asking someone to come with me to a Trevor Noah show.
Yeah.
Trevor Noah? who's Trevor Noah? And I was like, bro, Trevor Noah is the shit. But he wasn't mainstream, you know. So like,
Yeah.
I don't want to say whenever Trevor Noah's name is brought up, not that I'm proud, but I'm quite happy that he's done well for himself. Like he's got a lead in
Yeah,
it,
knew of him from early.
so on and so forth. Author, like yeah, big fan of Trevor Noah. Like he tells very very good stories.
Yeah. I really want to. Do you know what? I don't know when I start my sets. I can't remember the man's name. There's what's the author's name, man? He brought out a book and it was like sold out for straight away for like 3 months. Oh man, what's the guy's name?
Andrew Mensah.
Pardon?
Andrew Mensah.
You know it.
Nah,
Come
no,
on, gotta support the man, then, get me?
yeah, obviously, man will support your thing when it comes out here. I just know it's going to be a complex read. If it's anything like your mind works, it's going to be jumping. I can imagine like you from 36 then back to 23, and that's just to follow it.
For real.
I'll be honest.
From the back. It will actually start from the back, and you work to the front, then work to the middle, then work back to the back, then back to the front.
That's how I can imagine your book being.
It's funny you say that actually, because someone said that. Someone said not like that, but someone said like they were reading the book, they were reading it, and they had to take note as to making sure I was going to come back to certain points. They said I did, which made like, you know, let's say it made it enjoyable. But like, I'm going through, let's say, what would be the second draft at the moment. I haven't actually started, but that's what. Yeah, I'm going through the second draft at the moment, and I also want to make sure things, you know, things match up. Just change 1 or 2 bits and pieces. And just make sure it's an A1 read, you know, a very, very good read, very enjoyable, entertaining read, as well as insightful. And so I'm looking forward to that. Very, very much looking forward to that. That's gonna make, it'll make my, it'll make. I won't say it's gonna make my year, but it'll be the very beginning of what I believe will be something special. And I'm not even over or underplaying that.
Yeah. Nah, I'm looking forward to it. I know it'll be humorous for sure.
Yeah.
And obviously educational.
Yeah. You know, I've had 2 or 3 very, very, very interesting conversations outside of our circle as to maybe I might have had just casual conversation with someone, and then from there they wanted to present maybe an opportunity as to doing this, down the third, and involving other people to get to be a part of the conversation. So I know that the story or the stories resonate with people, and it's something that excites people and people want to hear. So that I don't doubt the story will travel far. My biggest problem, and my biggest problem is making sure the stories justify and the interest in people reading it. Hence, which is the reason why I've always wanted to make sure the story itself is something that's told on a wider scale by way of having a number of other voices involved in the conversation, because my story, I think, is just one of many. So I'm trying to make sure the narrative and the pitch is painted in the right way, you know, so the conversation can be beyond myself, because I think there's going to be stories within the book which are, I don't want to say bigger conversations, because these are conversations that are being had now, but these are conversations that might be continued. And you never know, the book may play reference. So I just want to make sure that these things are done correctly. So I look forward to it. Very much look forward to it. On that note, is there anything coming out of COVID? I don't know. What's your approach in coming out of COVID? We've discussed what we've learned in hindsight, not even in hindsight. We discussed what we've learned in this period of lockdown. But what is your view and your perception coming out of COVID? Because I think there's a number of people who are looking at the world maybe a lot different as to way of opportunity, and thinking there's a number of things they can seize. Go on.
No, do you know what? If you've got Microsoft Teams, you'll appreciate the hand. Because in Microsoft Teams, they've got this function now where you put your hand up because to stop people interrupting. You get me? I'm just trying to be politically correct, but like they've got this function now. You put your hand up in it. That's why I want
correct, bro.
Huh?
You're with the man, them. You ain't got to be politically correct.
We'll just butt in, yeah.
Yeah, do your thing.
Nah. I was gonna say, you know what happens with, and I've been guilty of it in the past. You know what happens with these things?
French is absolute madman, by the way. You know what? Where the hell did you do that? Where did you learn to do that? French put a thumbs up on the screen.
I saw, boy.
Okay, go on. Sorry, Mason.
Yeah, I was saying, like, you know, any kind of situation, a man might come out of jail or whatever it is, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm not wasting a second. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then that enthusiasm slowly dies down. So I'm not even going to try and approach it like that. I think, what was I going to say? I think for me, I don't even know. Like, no, I was going to say something and I've lost, I think French's thumb threw me off. But like, I'm definitely like, I'm not on this like, Ram, let me live life 100 miles per hour. But even before, I knew like there were certain things I wanted to do in terms of like vacations and 2 to 3 years, what I want to be doing, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think it's just trying to put like plans in motion essentially, or just like trying to still work towards those. Like, I mean, in terms, yeah. That's it really. That I've got to say on that subject.
Pete, there was something that you said when you was asking that question that sparked a thought. Could you ask it again, and maybe it will come back again?
I hope I haven't forgot the question. It says, I mean,
what's your outlook? Go on, sorry. Go on.
Sorry. In essence, what is your outlook, or what is going to be your outlook in coming out of COVID? So we've discussed what we've learned in COVID. What is going to be your outlook in coming out of COVID?
Do you know what? I guess maybe do you know what it is? I'm referring to an incident that happened while I was working. Not an incident, that's overstating it, but a conversation, I'd say, a difference of opinion. I was speaking with a client, and I don't think you can change people's opinions that easy as what you'd like to think. Because everything that's been going on with the whole BLM and George Floyd and everything like that, I think people's got their perspective and the way they see the world, and you can talk until you're blue in the face and give them facts and statistics, and they will still have that opinion, no matter how small-minded or bigoted it is. They will remain to have that perspective. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I've actually had a conversation with a client, and there's no ill will against him. He's still my client, and there's no animosity or anything. But I guess with the whole Black Lives Matter situation, what happened with the protests and everything like that, people are sensitive to maybe speak their mind or give their opinion on certain matters, even though you would want them to just say how they feel, innit? But then when you have a rebuttal and explain to them, this is the reason why, or this is the perspective that you may have, as I said, you can speak until you're blue in the face, and they still may not get it. So it's almost just like, not to say forget about it and not try to give knowledge or share knowledge, should I say, to people. But at the same time, I don't think you can keep beating people over the head with information that they're just not willing to accept. I think there's a lot of people in society have cognitive dissonance, and they will continue to have it as long as it doesn't affect them directly in their face, because a lot of people go off what they see on TV, what they read in the papers, and continue to believe that is factual, no matter what you tell them. And they will also bring in their life experience, their personal life experience, and not take account of their counterparts and their life experience, and only say, well, I've seen this and I've been around this. I've been around these people and they didn't say anything when this was happening, so it can't be true. So it's almost like it's been an opening, an eye opener to realise that. I guess going back to the whole, staying with the BLM, can't remember the acronym for a sec there, BLM situation, that unfortunately things are temporary in everyone's mind. Like, we're seeing a lot of people on IG, again, we've got the IG post page, and I personally don't go on it too often, but when I have gone on it, you see certain people having Black Lives Matter this on their profile and stuff like that. But what gets me is when the next big thing happens, that thing that's on their profile is going to be gone. It's not going to be there anymore, and it's not just going to be a case of, this was a good thing to talk about. It was a good topic to talk about. But it's not in people's permanent consciousness. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so yeah, just not to take it so, like, in essence, literally, like, trying to, and I'm all for the positive speaking and positive change, but to almost be like a realist. The tide's going to change, and it's going to be someone else that's going to be on the spotlight. But me, this is how I see it. I don't know how you lot see it, but I still have to wake up black. I still have to live this whole Black Lives Matter thing. My life mattered before this hoo-ha was happening, and it's going to matter after it happens. So that's why I'm not really so vocal about it too much and trying to be up in the conversations, because I've been living this. I've experienced certain things, and like maybe because of my experiences, I've got quite a realist kind of perspective on it, and not really. I'm all for people having a conversation, but if you're not really living it and really going through it, it's hard for me to really take all these. We're doing this for the community now, and I just think it's going to be a passing thing. Like, it's going to come and go. I would love for there to be permanent change, but we live in a fickle world, and unfortunately, especially on social media, the tide turns as quick as it comes. So, I guess my perspective coming out of COVID is continue living your life, like continue loving life, love those around you, keep on being peaceful as much as you can be positive, and keep, if you've got a goal in mind, if you've got an agenda, you've got, not an agenda, but if you've got goals in mind and you want to achieve it, keep going, like, regardless of what the madness is going on around you, because that thing that's going on right now will change, but your people that's around you, like the real world, the real thing that's going on, that's permanent. Like, those are the things that you need to build on and really strive to keep tight and really give your energy to, as P was saying, it's about energy and everything like that. That's the people that's around you, like the relationships. That, I think that for me has been the most important coming out of this whole COVID thing, is maintaining great relationships and great friendships. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. You're drawing comparison, obviously, with things that are going on at this moment in time, and you're saying that we've been here before, etc., etc., and these are the values that you want to come out with. These are the values that you want to come out with and look forward to, dare I say. Do you want to go now, Mason? Go on, your hands up.
No, I was gonna say there was 3 or 4 points that you raised a lengthy. There was quite a lengthy speech, and it was quite good actually, and it was quite informative. And whilst you were speaking, there was 3 or 4 things that crossed my mind. Pete, you're putting me off, man. Come on.
All right, go on.
So one of the points was in and around the Black Lives Matter movement, and you know, we've got people going out protesting, we've got people from white, black, and different backgrounds going out and protesting together, and it's a thing at the moment, isn't it? And it is a thing which is likely to pass. It's just like when a major headline happens about, I don't know, a serial rapist, and then 2 weeks later, the terrorist attack happens, the rapist thing gets forgotten about, gets pushed everyone's back to everyone's mind. One of the things that, and I agree with points you made about, because we've been here before, we've had Brixton riots, we've had Tottenham, we've had riots, we've done all this. There's a few things. One of the things is, I barely do this, but I posted something on Instagram today, which actually touched me. And the reason it touched me, it was to do with the interview that, it was a cricket game, England, West Indies, and had a breaking play or whatever. And they had, I can't remember the cricketer's name. It's a black cricketer who used to play for the West Indies.
Michael Holding, I think his name was.
Yeah, right. The thing that touched me about what he said, because he said that he raised a lot of things you raised, French, in that we've had these moments and, you know, it doesn't lead anything. Like, yeah, there's recognition that things have to change, but a few protests here and there, it doesn't change anything. What he said in that interview, which really touched and hit home, he said, the key is education. I thought in my head, okay, we've heard this before. There's protests about change the education system, blah, blah, blah. He said, and he gave a reason why. He said, listen, he said, if you change the education system, because what you said about your conversation with your customer, French, they're too far gone. They're too far gone now. Old dog, new tricks, all that kind of stuff. They're too far gone to be, they're comfy. They're set in their ways. It's like, okay, you've and whatever, and it's all in the past, forget about it. He goes, it doesn't work like that. He goes, if you're taught, because history is taught by the conqueror, not the conquered. History is taught by those who kind of ruled and mastered, not those who were kind of not submissive to it, but who suffered or were oppressed under that system. He goes, and he made a good example about the light bulb. Everyone knows Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, but he goes, who invented the filament? No one knew. And he said the guy's name, and I can't remember it, but he said it's a black man. He said that light bulb that Thomas Edison invented burnt out. Someone had to develop the filament. So he named it. He said, things like this, trinkets of history like this, they are not taught in schools. He goes, it's very important that we teach about white history, but about black history as well, and the importance of the black person, the importance of any kind of BAME person. He goes, the history we're taught is from one perspective. Remember, he's a man growing up in Jamaica. So his teachings in schools are going to be even different to us, because I'm sure they would have been taught about black empowerment, being black, what people have done. Over here in Europe, when my history teachers were all white, I learned about, the history I learned was World War I, World War II, watch Roots, and you're done. Go and get your GCSEs. Do you get what I'm saying? And like, he was just saying, like, it needs to be unbiased. It needs to be that you talk about what the white man done, what the black man done, the greatness that we've achieved as a race, how we've worked together, all of those things. Because when you're young, you're impressionable. You pick up learning, like cognitive skills, you pick up learning, you pick up your English, you're reading, all of that stuff. Any language you want to learn, they say learn young, learn from a baby, because you pick it up. All that stuff needs to be taught young. And one thing I would say is that growing up in the London environment, yeah, I remember like when I was 8, 9, 10, and my mum and dad telling me about certain areas, you can't go there, that's mad racist. Like, and close to where we lived, where we grew up, you can't go there. And now, 10, 15, 20 years later, man can go there and feel comfortable in it. So what I would say is that with each passing generation, I feel like there's an improvement in terms of, like in London anyway, in terms of racism levels and the way people think, because we're interacting more, we're integrating more. Social media helps, and I can see it, I can feel it. Like, it just, people might have those thoughts, but they won't. 30 years ago, 20 years ago, they'll actually go out. I don't even want to use this word, but nigger bashing or packy bashing or whatever. They'll actually go out on a Friday night. You won't see that no more, and you'll see a lot more mixed groups and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what I would say. But what you said about education being key, that is super key. Like, because if you learn to love, embrace one another from young, then that is only going to help when you grow up. You can see color. It's not hard. I'm black. This person's white. This person's of Asian heritage. But you're not going to think all they're known for is scum. All they're known for is robbing jewelry or selling drugs. You're not going to think like that, because guess what? You know, in history, their man are responsible for this, or this is what they brought and developed and helped build up the UK or England or London. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think that's what's important. And it was a very good point he made, and that touched home. In terms of your social media people who jump on the bandwagon, because there's people, don't get it twisted, there's people that are out here fighting for the cause 24/7. This is their life. We had how am I gonna get Darryl Blake on our podcast? My man is out here 24/7. This is what he preaches. Just because it's relevant, I guarantee people hit him up more, has been hitting him up more in the 3 months that have gone than in the 12 months prior. Just because it's been about that life, innit? So you're right, you're gonna get your social media people, right? This is hit now? This is the wave, yeah? All right, let me post something with like that. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna get people like that, and then the next thing jumps on next month. And like with those people, like, fair enough, like if you're not, like if you're just about what's in and what's not, but then I don't know, like just I don't know, man. If you're gonna do that, then just at least, I don't even know how to put it. Like, if you're an influencer of some sort like that, yeah, influence in it. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Whether it's raise a petition or whatever, like influence. If you're an influencer of that sort, influence in it. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Just influence. It's like if it's for 3 months, because this has been relevant for 3 months, make a change in that 3 months before you flip and bounce and move on in it. Like, make a change for the greater good of the people. Don't just post it, get to keep people coming and streaming, and I don't even know what the terms are, but like algorithms so that people are directed to your page because you're posting something like that.
Nah, hey, bro, definitely.
All right, myself, I hope I keep it simple anyway. So like in this period of quarantine, like there's been probably 2-3 occasions where, certainly one day in particular, where I thought it was a good opportunity to look back at a lot of my pictures. So whether it was traveling or
doesn't work unless we do it.
all right, so I thought it was a great opportunity to look back at photos, to which it made me feel really warm inside by way of things that I'd let's say achieved, or things that I'd done over a period of time. And there's no different now, as in this period of COVID, as to looking back as to what you've gone through, what you've done, and potentially what you've achieved or what you've overcome. And yesterday, if not the day before, I saw a picture of actually no, so yeah, I saw a picture of Zidane, and this picture said, it was a post of Zidane, and it said 19 years, so essentially said 19 years today I signed for Real Madrid, the most beautiful journey that I've ever been on. And I actually posted this picture on my personal account, and I think certainly one of the things, I don't know if I said this, but one of the things I was thinking to myself was, I remember this day like it was yesterday, Zidane actually signing for Real Madrid, and look at the things that he's going to achieve. I mean, he had a glorious career from 2000 up until 2005 and 6 when he retired. But look what he's going to achieve as a manager. But the first thing I thought to myself was, I remember that as if it was yesterday, you know. And also, I think what I put in my post was, where has the time gone? In that it's just out of nowhere, it's gone from Zidane signing for Real Madrid in 2000 to 2020, almost 20 years ago. In fact, I think it was 2001. So almost 20 years ago, he signed for Real Madrid. In that time, he's become one of the most iconic managers in history of football, in winning the Champions League 3 times in a row. He's probably going to win La Liga this season. As one of he's in my personal, by way of seeing someone play, top 3, top 5 all time, certainly the most graceful footballer to ever walk the earth. And I'm talking within a 20-year period. Yeah, I said, like, with the click of the fingers, you know, where did that time go? And I'm an individual where I believe I know what I want in the next 40 years, let alone the next 20, you know? And I'm 35 at this moment in time, but we all know time waits for no man, and time moves quite fast. And the same goes for, and I know Zidane is completely different from Mandela, Malcolm X, etc., etc., etc. But with that being said, you know, with with time not waiting for no man, and discussing obviously BLM and Black Lives Matter and so on and so forth. And we know some people are going to be about change and some people are going to be resistant to change and so on and so forth. But with what I want in my life, and I believe I'm no different to no individual. So I'm no different from yourself, French, no different from yourself, Mason. But I genuinely believe, and hopefully these things will unravel in the next 4 or 5 months by way of things taking place in my life. I just genuinely believe I'm just special, and not special by way of Jose Maria, I'm the special one. I'm speaking about I believe I'm great, but I'm no different from my neighbors, etc., etc., etc. So I just believe if you want things to happen, I think be the change that you want to see. I know that's a phrase that's thrown out, etc., etc., but I can only control what's going on in this room, and hopefully that will inspire someone else to go do the same, and hopefully it'll inspire another person to do the same. Some of the things that I've seen by way of my experiences in South America, like in South America in 2012, were images and things that I heard which I'd never ever want to see or hear again. But fast forward to 2020, clearly there's been some form of change by way of conversations taking place as to actually that's not right, etc., 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 etc. So somewhere down the line there was someone that ignited that form of conversation, etc., etc. So I would say, like, whether it's in regards to things that you want to achieve and empowerment, you know, as individuals, I know we're powerful as groups, but as individuals, let's take responsibility, and hopefully these things will form some form of momentum and group economics, not economics, group dynamics, let's say, and turn into something special. Yeah, that's all I've got to say, really. You know, I know something that French you say, or you said in previous episodes, you know, as to books, in that some of the people that we admire, you know, so I think there was something thrown up as to would you be someone's mentee or mentor, or read their book and something to do with traveling. I forget what it was, but it was a conversation with book thinkers.
Yeah.
We've got a number of I've got a number of individuals to which I admire, etc., etc. And I think I've kind of lost where I was going. We've got I've lost my train of thought. But we've got a number of individuals by way of who have inspired us in the past, you know. And I think with that light or that burning flame inside your heart or inside your belly, there's no reason why you can't go on to change the world or certainly impact those around you in the next, say, 10, 15, 20 years time. I look at, I mean, and just, I don't want to go around in houses. I look at Zidane by way of player, as a gentleman, and a coach. He's number one stroke two. I can't even, you know, I look up to him as the beacon by way of who he is, what he's done on the field, and what he's done on the sidelines by now actually not navigating, by way of providing instruction. I mean, he says that, I forgot the phrase anyway. I forgot the phrase, but there's something I've got written down. I mean, I just think he's a man mountain, no different from Mandela, who I've got a huge amount of admiration for, and those who have come before us by way of civil rights. But yeah, last word on me is be the change that you want to see.
Cool. Well, I guess like we'll wrap up in a minute, but what would you say is your biggest take home for yourself personally? I know we've kind of addressed what we've learned, but is there anything that you can say that you've learned about yourself that you, not to say you didn't know before, but may have been more emblazoned on your personality, or just used on your perspective on yourself? But is there anything that you can say, I've doubled down on that, or I feel much more confident in that, or I'm much more aware of that, or whatever it may be? Is there anything that you can say and highlight and say, yeah, that's I knew this before, but I already know it now, so to speak?
Oops, I've gone on mute.
No, I can hear you.
No, Mason, there's a thumbs up. That was me first. That's what put up. Sorry, just very quickly as to myself, I'm not too sure. No, sorry, like after this conversation, or maybe a week later, I might actually have another answer to this. But at this moment in time, I just feel there's a level of energy that's just running through my body that I've had before. I forget where and when it was, but at the time it felt amazing and it felt special. And that's running through my body at this moment in time, as to being in a place where I'm extremely happy with what I'm doing by way of um, um, putting my energy into something and then receiving something out. So it might actually be the process, because I haven't actually received any output at this moment in time. But with some of the work that I've done over the past 2 years, let's say, and it's not necessarily something which is tangible, is things by way of which actually nurtures me. At this moment in time, I just feel a very, very good energy around myself. And I actually say 2 years, but truth be told, it could be the past 35 years as to my life. So I just feel really, really good about myself at this moment in time. And I think maybe this period of quarantine, if it hadn't happened, maybe I wouldn't feel this way about myself at this moment in time, because I still would have been going back and forth from London to Barcelona. And truth be told, I was quite fatigued and quite tired at the time. So quarantine came at a very, very good time, by way of actually I had an opportunity to relax and to realign my thoughts and realign some of the other things that I was doing. So at this moment in time, I've got an energy just running through me like, like electric. I'm just mad happy. I get up, I'm happy. I'm smiling. I do things which I know, like, there's some mad traits that people will never ever see. If there was a camera in my room, there's things that you would see would alarm would alarm a normal person, But I'm
Now,
doing.
hey,
No,
hey, bro.
sorry, say that
Hey,
again.
bro. What you talking about, bro?
No, I'm not talking about saying funny stuff. I'm talking about, like, by way of talking. I'm some person, like, I might talk to myself, watch a lot of videos, self-affirmation, like, and I'm talking about, like, speaking out loud, getting real excitable about the things that I'm watching or thinking about. So, but I'm talking about, like, if there was a camera on my wall, you'll just see mad movement and just I'll be looking anyway. Let me just move the conversation on. No, I'm just really happy at this moment. I'm really happy at this moment in time, and that's what I've taken coming out of quarantine.
Yeah, glad to hear it.
Yeah, you can speak.
For me, I think the main thing I've realized, because I'm very like not flatline, that sounds like I'm dead, but like some people have major ups and major downs, major ups, major downs. I'm usually like that, yeah. So I don't really go too high and too low. I think during quarantine, like, there was times I felt like mad super low that I haven't felt before, and like I was just like, what's wrong with me? And it took me to have a conversation with a few people to kind of like realize, actually, like, it's not bad. It's like they felt that way a little bit, and part of it is being during this whole process where you've had kind of restrictions in place at various points, and it's just the fact that I've been able to deal with and cope with that and come out the other side where I'm back to like feeling a bit more normal, essentially. And I think that would stand me in good stead for in the future if I ever hit that point again, whether it's down to a COVID, whether it's down to something completely different, where maybe I hit a bit of a low, and the fact that I can come out the other side, just ride it out. It's a bit of a storm, but the storm will pass. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's the thing I've learned about myself the most during this period.
Form is temporary, class is permanent. That's always football's. Your form is temporary. Your mood is temporary. If you're
You calling me classy? You calling me classy? Yeah.
Well, I'm referring to myself, but I mean, but I'm talking about yourself too. As to if you've got very, very good morals, great person, great friend. What you're going through at this moment in time is temporary. That full stop.
What I've been through, I'm all right now still. But thanks. Where were you during my struggle, B?
Cool.
French?
Yo.
What would you take from this? Yeah.
I enjoy being by myself. I'm definitely misanthropic a lot of the time. I like my own company. Yeah, it's not nothing I didn't know before, to be fair. Like, I'm cool. I'm all right by myself, man. Don't get me wrong. That's not to say I don't like to have our conversations, because I definitely do, and I do appreciate all of my friendship groups, my relationships that I have with all my friends and family. I genuinely love you all, but if I don't hear or see you, I ain't bugging. I'm cool. Like, I've got books, got a couple of J's. I'm cool, man. I'm easy. I just do my thing. But yeah, I can't say I've learned anything that I wasn't aware of. More, it's just realigned things that I already knew, so to speak. But yeah, man, just yeah, similar to P. I'm in a good space. I'm happy right now. I'm good. Like, the future's bright. It's positive. Everyone around me is as well. So just keep cracking on, man. Like a lot of crazy. And again, I think a lot of it's to do with maybe not looking at the news and reading and listening to a lot of the news, which, as you lot know, I don't do much at all. And that's definitely plays a big part, because when I do tune into the news and I do tune into what's going on, whether that's via social media and like watching TV and stuff, it has an effect on you. Like it does. Like as soon as you start, like I remember even when that George Floyd thing came about, I wasn't really privy to it. Then the first thing I saw when I've looked on what was going on is a man getting killed like in broad daylight. I was like, that just fucked me up. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like that affected, like probably affected me a lot more than I may have let on, just through the way of not talking about it. Because I was frustrated and I was annoyed and I was just like, I'm tired of this shit. But I'm also tired of also having to talk about it because I've been living it. I've been living this all my life. So again, being able to just have that time by myself and just enjoying my own company and like reading books and do what I'm doing, and yeah, just reaffirming what I already knew beforehand. For me, it's just been a blessing. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the next chapter, whatever it may be, whether it's a second wave or it's not. If this is the new normal, then let's go forward and see how it goes, man. But yeah, it's all love, man. It's all love, bro. It's all love. That's me.
Okay, let's put a bow on this one.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to. I mean, we've had these conversations, but we probably haven't had these conversations by way of being open as to what we've learned. So it'd be interesting to find out, obviously, what people have learned as well. I mean, and some of these questions are things I think we and other people may have asked already, but the question as to how you're going to approach things following COVID or quarantine, I mean, these are questions I think, or answers that would be interesting to hear, because again, everyone's got different views and perspectives.
Mm.
Cool.
No, facts, man. All the listeners, followers, hit us up. How are you coping? How have you coped? What's your intention of when you come out of the lockdown? How are you going to approach life? Do you see things differently? Do you have a new perspective? Yeah. How are you? What's changed for you? Yeah. There's no more questions from me. Let's call it a day.
Yeah, cool. As usual, full_e _e_books on the Instagram, and just hit us up on the email if anything. fullebooked@gmail.com.
Or the DMs.
Or DM us on the Instagrams.